The mid-air collision between a U.S. spy drone and a Russian fighter jet in international airspace prompted a rare direct call between military leaders in Washington and Moscow.
I just got off the phone with my Russian counterpart, Minister Shoigu.
U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin on Wednesday said he'd spoken with Russia's defense minister about the incident where a Russian Su-27 aircraft the day before intercepted, struck, and damaged the propeller of an American MQ-9 Reaper drone, forcing operators to crash it into the waters of the Black Sea.
And the United States will continue to fly and to operate wherever international law allows. And it is incumbent upon Russia to operate its military aircraft in a safe and professional manner.
U.S. officials said 2 Russian jets first harried and dumped fuel on the unmanned aerial vehicle, or UAV, before the collision. U.S. General Mark Milley, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, said it was not yet clear whether the crash was intentional or accidental.
Was it intentional or not? Don't know yet. We know that the intercept was intentional. We know that the aggressive behavior was intentional. We also know it was very unprofessional and very unsafe. The actual contact of the fixed-wing Russian fighter with our UAV, the physical contact of those two, not sure yet. That remains to be seen.
Milley said the Pentagon had video evidence of the encounter and would consider declassifying parts of it. But Russia's defense ministry claimed the American drone was heading toward Russian-held territory and said there was no collision, asserting the MQ-9 crashed all on its own. The downing of the drone marks the first such incident since Russian forces invaded Ukraine over a year ago, a conflict that has seen a steadily increasing amount of U.S. weaponry, operated mostly by Ukrainians, clashing with Russian armaments.
We've been waiting for this sort of thing to happen for some time. It's surprising it hasn't already happened.
Professor Michael Clark is the former Director General of the Royal United Services Institute in London.
The United States have been flying drones in open airspace across the Black Sea, as they're perfectly legally entitled to do. The Russians have been trying to buzz them and disrupt them for months. It was only a matter of time.
Despite Russian denials, Clark told Reuters he believed the collision was real, if unintended.
This almost certainly, I'm 99% certain, was an accident, pilot error. I mean, the Su-27 pilot, who can deliberately and safely fly his plane into the propeller of a Reaper drone, hasn't yet been born. So I'm sure it's an accident, and that pilot's very lucky.
Russia said it would try to recover the drone wreckage from the sea. General Milley said the waters where the MQ-9 splashed down were 4,000 to 5,000 feet deep, making any recovery attempt difficult. He added that measures were taken before the crash to ensure no sensitive information could be gleaned from the wreckage.
Construction vehicles dump rocks along California's Parajo River to try to patch up a failed levee after another deluge of rain this week hit the already saturated state, 10 inches in some parts, while the mountains received up to 3 feet of snow. Some 21,000 people in the flood zone had been under evacuation orders or warnings, officials said. Nearby farmland was soaked under the floodwaters. This is the latest so-called atmospheric river to hit the state, an airborne current of dense tropical moisture from the Pacific moving over the landscape. 9 of these storms lashed California from late December through mid-January, triggering widespread flooding, levee failures, mudslides, and punishing surf. Tuesday's storm was the 11th of the season. One local resident, Herberto Estrada, found his way home to rescue his birds that he'd left behind, who were almost out of food.
So we needed more food maybe for a couple of days. I don't know what time it's coming back.
Forecasters also warned of widespread uprooting of trees and down power lines from winds gusting up to 70 miles per hour. About 190,000 homes and businesses were without electricity Wednesday, mostly along California's central coast and the San Francisco Bay Area, according to data from PowerOutage.com, a tracking service. That's about the same number of customers without power on the other side of the country. In the Northeast and New England, a nor'easter storm dumped nearly 2 feet of snow in the Berkshire Mountains of western Massachusetts and northwestern Connecticut, and heaving snow fell in upstate New York.
A battle is playing out in Amarillo, Texas, over nationwide access to a widely used abortion pill. As a group of protesters stood outside, a U.S. district judge on Wednesday questioned lawyers for the Biden administration on whether regulatory approval given 22 years ago to the drug mifepristone was proper. anti-abortion groups are challenging the FDA's approval. They want a preliminary order halting sales of the drug nationwide, even in states where abortion is illegal, while their lawsuit proceeds.
The implications of this case are really, really huge.
Reuters U.S. National Affairs correspondent Gabriella Border covered the hearing.
The anti-abortion groups are saying that the FDA inappropriately approved this drug, mifepristone, back in 2000 through an accelerated approval process, which they are saying it did not warrant. And they also are making an argument that it was not sufficiently tested in pediatric population, so women under the age of 18, girls. One of the main arguments that the defendants made, lawyers representing the FDA, was that revoking approval of this drug would cause significant public harm. It's very, very widely used all over the country and all over the world. And revoking approval for it would overburden the surgical abortion clinics in this country. One of the lawyers for the Justice Department also made the argument that revoking this long-held approval might undercut faith in the FDA's expertise and their judgment.
Border says the judge did not appear to be siding with one side over the other and seemed to be mulling a more limited ruling. A ruling against the FDA would hinder abortion access in every state. Soon as medication abortion accounts for more than half of all terminations in the U.S.
This drug is used everywhere. After Roe was overturned, medication abortion and the ability to receive these pills via mail has been a crutch for a lot of people who are not able to have access to abortion in clinics since they live so far from them. So this would really go even further than the Supreme Court's Roe v. Wade overturn in the spring by further cutting access to a key abortion access avenue in this country at this point.
The judge said he would rule as soon as possible.
The Biden administration has threatened to ban TikTok if its Chinese owners do not sell their stake, the company told Reuters on Wednesday. The ultimatum, first reported in the Wall Street Journal, comes amid fears that the app could pass US user data to the Chinese government. TikTok, which is owned by ByteDance, has more than 100 million users in the US. A TikTok spokesperson told Reuters that the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States had demanded that the Chinese owners of the app sell their shares. 60% of ByteDance shares are owned by global investors, 20% by employees, and 20% by its founders, according to the journal. TikTok, which rejects the spying allegations, says it has spent more than $1.5 billion on rigorous data security efforts. On Wednesday, it added, quote, "The best way to address concerns about national security is with the transparent, US-based protection of US user data and systems, with robust third-party monitoring, vetting, and verification." Last week, the White House backed a bill that gives it new powers to ban TikTok and other foreign-based technologies if they pose a national security threat. Biden's predecessor, Republican Donald Trump, tried to ban TikTok in 2020, but was blocked by the courts. Another hurdle would be that any US company buying TikTok would also require the approval of the Chinese government, and it's not clear that it would be granted. The White House declined to comment.
So this suit's a little bit different than the suits of kind of today that's used on the space station. So this is called a rear entry design or a back entry design. This hatch would open up. You would put your feet in, put your arms in, and then kind of shimmy down into the suit, and then we would close the hatch. The light band is mounted to the visor assembly, to the helmet bubble. And this essentially gives the astronauts lights to see where they're in shaded portions of the moon, or if they're in low Earth orbit. In a night pass, they can turn on these lights to see using tools or translating on the space station or anything like that. We also have on the side here, we have a HD video camera. So those of us back on Spaceship Earth watching the EVA will be able to watch it in high definition, which will be a fantastic upgrade, I think, from current day technology. The XEMU team did a tremendous job, and a lot of our teammates did a tremendous job designing those boots. One of the differences between this suit and the suit that will be on the moon is that the moon suit will mostly be white. So we'll replace all the black with white, and that's really for thermal reasons, so didn't want anybody to get that mixed up. But other than that, I think this is just a fantastic, fantastic looking suit. There's a variety of joints that we've put as well into the lower torso assembly, and this is going to be a huge improvement over the Apollo suits. The Apollo suits didn't have many of these types of joints that we've put in this suit, so the astronauts will be more comfortable, have an easier time walking.
Pakistan security forces withdrew from around Imran Khan's home on Wednesday after a court ordered them to suspend an operation to arrest him. Clashes had erupted between police and Khan's supporters after officials tried to detain the former Prime Minister. Security forces had fired tear gas and water cannons at hundreds of Khan's supporters, who had cordoned off his home in an effort to prevent his arrest. Police say a court in Islamabad ordered Khan's arrest for not appearing before it, despite repeated summons in relation to selling state gifts given by foreign dignitaries during his premiership. Pakistan's Election Commission found him guilty in the matter, and now a criminal inquiry is underway, though Khan says he broke no rules. Police and other security personnel were seen leaving the Lahore neighbourhood where Khan's home is located on Wednesday. A senior police official said the operation to arrest Khan had been paused to accommodate a cricket tournament in the Pakistan Super League being played nearby. Khan accused the incumbent government of attempts on his life in a video released by his party, Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf. His life was in danger, he said, claiming that Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, Interior Minister Rana Sanaullah, and an intelligence agent had planned tear gas shelling on his home. After forces withdrew, Khan was seen standing outside his home wearing a gas mask and talking to supporters. The violence has added to the instability in the country, which is struggling with an economic crisis and awaiting an International Monetary Fund bailout.
The exiled Chinese businessman Guo Wengui was charged on Wednesday with leading a complex conspiracy to defraud his online followers out of more than $1 billion. According to authorities, Guo, with help from his longtime financial advisor Qinming Jie, cheated thousands by promising outsized investment returns, but diverted much of their money to fund lavish lifestyles for himself and his family. A prominent critic of China's Communist Party, Guo left the country in 2014 during an anti-corruption crackdown under President Xi Jinping. He was accused there of crimes including bribery and money laundering, but has denied wrongdoing. In the U.S., Guo has been a business associate of Steve Bannon, a former advisor to Donald Trump. Bannon was arrested in a fraud case in August 2020 while aboard Guo's yacht, the Lady May. He was later pardoned by Trump in the final hours of his presidency. Guo, who was arrested on Wednesday, faces 11 criminal counts that include securities fraud, wire fraud, and concealment of money laundering, carrying several decades of potential prison time. Following the arrest, a fire broke out on the 18th floor of the Sherry Netherland Hotel, where Guo has an apartment on Manhattan's Upper East Side. There were no reported injuries. On Thursday afternoon, Guo pleaded not guilty and is being detained without bail. A lawyer for Guo did not immediately respond to requests for comment.